then you guys walk me through the fights, and then just let me know exactly kind of how it's going, I guess. Um, you guys can't see the stream on this, unfortunately,
Okay.
for right now. But
Should we recap our last one to start out, Jackson?
I'm down, yeah. Let me pull up the last card.
I mean, I'll just say like in one sentence. It's not.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got it. Okay. So last week, in terms of the survivor pool, Grant and I went 1-1, with one of the fights being voided out, which one was that, Grant? That was
It was
voided,
the Bonfim
right?
versus your boy Pichel, right?
Yeah, from hell. So that's where
That
we're at
fight
with
never
survivor
happened. So
pool. Yeah.
Jackson stays alive. I had Gabriel Bonfim, who lost to Nicholas Dalby in a shock fashion. And so I lost that one, but we moved. The rest of our picks last week were pretty successful. We saw Baralho beat Magomedov, Nascimento beat Dontel Mays, and of course Derek Lewis looked horrendous and was dominated from the first second of that fight by Jalton Almeida.
One fight that I was particularly surprised by as well that I thought was worth mentioning was Dos Santos and Rinat Farkadinov. I really foresaw Rinat coming away with that victory there. So shouts out to Zaleski Dos Santos for fighting out a majority draw.
Yeah, for sure.
all right, so what are the first fights that we're kind of getting going for this week here, so we can get the UFC rocking in the background while you guys get this recap going and move from there.
Yeah, are there any undercards you really looking forward to or prelims here that you like a lot, Jackson?
I am really looking forward to the Dennis Bazooka and Jamal Emmers fight just because I really like the value there on Bazooka's side. Um, he is an underdog on PredictionStrike, and Dennis is as tough and durable as they come and is training at a really good camp, the Ray Lago camp. I think he's going to be able to apply the pressure and push the pace on Jamal Emmers, which is something he's really good at. And I think the value here is in Bazooka. And Emmers is a tough guy to trust, and you don't really know exactly what his game plan is going to be going into a fight. So if you're looking for a value play in the prelims here, I really like Bazooka.
And that's the one we have on screen here, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Um, I think Nazim Saidikov is someone that I'm looking at as well. We saw him beat Terrence McKinney in his last fight, and he seems like a guy that's on the rise as well. This fight feels like not a layup, but another fight that he should win and add to the string of victories he's had. So
Right on. Well, we got a couple chat questions here in chat. One UFC, two fantasy football. So I know we're focused on UFC right now, but we'll try to answer these. So, is there any hope for Bijan to start off with? Yes, I believe there's hope. Two, when is Islam gonna fight next? Do you guys have an answer for that one?
I think it'll be against Charles, obviously, but I think that fight probably doesn't happen
Yeah.
until like February, maybe. We saw a few main events get announced recently. I mean, Islam didn't take too many hits in his last fight, so I would expect a quicker turnaround than we saw last time. So it kind of just depends on when there's a big event that they want to throw him in. I think it will be against Charles 100%, and I think it'll be probably maybe March, February, something like that.
True, true. They said my Discord noties are going crazy in the background, trying to figure out a way to mute that. But I don't think we'll be able to figure that out at this second.
Here, by the way, one thing we're gonna start doing is we're gonna have some of the fights that we start to talk about simulated on here for now. None of the fighters we mentioned are in the game, so we just have Sugar Sean O'Malley battling it out with Bruce Buffer here. So if you have any questions on what's going on here, or there's two fighters you want to see fight in the background, then throw it in the chat and we can make it happen.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
On the way, I know the Discords are in.
One other prelim fight that I think is going to be really exciting, at least, is Joshua Van versus Kevin Borjas. Borjas is a pretty sick boxer, and I think if it stays standing, it could be like a really, really good fight potentially. But I think Van is the kind of the better fighter all around, and is a really like true mixed martial artist, stays true to his BJJ and everything. And I think he's going to come in and get a takedown or two, and should be a little bit better everywhere, especially in wrestling and grappling. But I think it's going to be a good fight, especially if it stays on the feet. It's going to be intense.
Yeah, it's going to keep an eye on for sure. Well, if there's nothing else, we can move into this main card a little bit. Obviously, a little bit of a letdown compared to what we thought we were getting with Pereira and Prochazka as the co-main, with John Jones and Stipe stepping in to the main event of this card. But still an entertaining one. I like the heavyweight fight they put in instead. Yeah, definitely not quite the fight we thought we would get here. But the first fight of this main card is Diego Lopez taking on Pat Sabatini. Jackson, any intel on this one?
My intel on this one is the underdog here, Diego Lopez. I like the way he looks, and I think it all depends on game plan here for Lopez. Like firstly, he's just a monster in my eyes, and I think if he makes this a striking match, it's all him, and that's pretty much the deciding factor in the fight. Sabatini has really, really nice top control, good takedowns, and I don't think Lopez can beat him on the ground. So if he keeps this a striking match, which I think he can, especially considering Sabatini and his camp, I really don't think any of the Gracie guys have shown too much improvement in their striking recently. And Sabatini's gotten chinned and doesn't take shots the best. So I think this is a good one for Lopez if he can confidently defend takedowns from Sabatini.
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to lean with you here. I think I'll take Sabatini just to be a little different here. He's only lost once in the UFC, and I think this is a spot here where he can continue to build on what has been a relatively successful UFC career so far. I mean, he's still youngish. He's only 32. His one loss, a little bit fluky. It was a quick knockout, which those can happen to anyone. And other than that, he's won 6 fights. So let's start a new streak here and get him in the win column.
Yeah, he's a monster. I think it's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah.
Next, we have Matt Frivola taking on Benoit Saint Denis.
Matt Frivola,
we talked about Benoit, I guess, a couple months ago now, right? He's a French military of some sort.
Yeah.
Looked great in that Paris card. How do you see him building off of that here?
So firstly, I just want to say BSD has obviously proven he's a monster. Like he has 5 fights with 13 takedowns and has only ever seen the third round once. Is just an animal on the mat. He shoots a bunch of takedowns, applies the pressure really well. Normally, I just like the momentum BSD has been on, but I'm such a huge Steamroller fan. I had the pleasure of meeting him at 292. He's a really great guy. Almost made him a PS athlete. He gave me his manager's info, cheese rolls. But I think he's really durable and is a better wrestler and grappler than he's given credit for. He's pretty good at defending takedowns and reversing the positions that he gets in. I think if he has good success with takedown defense, he can get this one. And I think he could also get it coming out swinging in the first round. BSD is a pretty technical fighter and has the ability to piece apart Frivola if the fight goes on a long time. But I think I'm still going to take Frivola here. He's a dog, and his strength of schedule and his losses has been pretty tough too, with McKinney and Armin Sorokian, and I think he can swing a win here for sure. So I'm riding Steamroller.
Yeah, I think if we end up doing a value pick here on Prediction Strike and just in general in the fight, that Frivola is a guy that would definitely be confident in his ability to pull an upset. But I mean, I think Benoit takes this fight. I mean, you mentioned how dominant he's looked in all of his fights so far. I mean, you could look at that as somewhat of a bad thing, I guess, in just terms of he hasn't really been tested, and you don't really know what happens in those dog fights where things get sketchy and then you have to kind of think on your feet and react. So in that sense, Matt Frivola has experienced every type of fight in the sport and is prepared for anything. But I just think Benoit is the more talented fighter. But definitely worth a sprinkle on Prediction Strike here for Frivola, because if he picks one up, obviously already a ranked fighter, that train could build and we could see him fly up the rankings if he takes down a guy that a lot of people think could pose a threat in this lightweight division. So
yeah, and BST too is a guy that's gonna be around for a long time. So like great long hold there. He's looking like a really interesting prospect in the UFC scene.
yeah, even if he does lose, like we both think is possible. I mean, he's only 27, so there's a ton of room to grow, and I mean, he could take this one and learn from it. So not the end of the world. I think he's a great investment, regardless of how you think this fight goes.
For sure.
Right on. All right. Who do we have next here?
I think we got the ladies.
We got the latest.
We have Jessica Andrade taking on Mackenzie Dern. As you see, we have that one starting on the stream as well. So we should have a bit of a live update to at least how UFC 4 thinks this fight will go. Jackson, any thoughts though?
Jessica is definitely like one of the most imposing figures for her size in MMA. Has great power for being only 5'1". Is just a bully in there, wears down her opponents and just throws big shots at them. Has the power for a KO, which obviously offers some value on PS. But I honestly foresee Mackenzie Dern taking this one. She's a submissions expert that I foresee taking the fight to the ground. She has the title shot in mind. She has the drive. And she's just an amazing grappler and has been improving her takedowns and has been improving her striking, which is her biggest weakness, which definitely plays into Andrade. But I think she has the ability to take it to the ground, seeing her improve takedowns and get Andrade in this one.
Yeah, give me Dern for sure. Coming off of a win against Angela Hill. Andrade, I'm not really sure how she's ranked as high as she is. She's coming off of 3 straight losses. Obviously, to talented fighters.
Picture.
What?
So we might need to work on our profile picture. Slightly
it's pretty
off.
bad. Is that a Big Mac behind her?
I think that's supposed to be a Big Mac.
But yeah, I mean, Andrade's lost 3 fights in a row. It seems like some of her better years of really contending for a title are behind her. And I mean, I just don't see a second push to the title really happening for Andrade. So I'll lean Dern as well. I'm not sure exactly how it happens, but it just feels like the momentum is entirely on her side, and it's gonna be tough to get back in the win column for Jessica Andrade.
I think the game's trying to tell us it's going to be by submission.
For sure.
But they're asking in the chat, is it possible for Bijan to have a big week with limited touches? Any chance he gets loose? Yes, I think once we get in fantasy playoffs, that's where he really takes off. But prior to that, we'll see.
We just saw Dern take that one by submission as well. Yeah. So lining up with our thoughts there.
But Dern getting the submission takedown, that's all that matters. Big Mac W, 100%.
I think Bijan could definitely get loose, but it feels like Arthur Smith is the domestic terrorist at this point. Who knows what's going to happen? He's giving Jonnu Smith like double reverses on the goal line, and like I don't know, you can't trust anything that is going on there. It doesn't really seem like Arthur Smith has any idea how to use any of the weapons he's drafted during his tenure there. So I mean, he totally could break out, but I'm not confident in much changing really, unless there like a new coach comes in, which is possible. You might not even make the playoffs at this point. Bijan, Pollard, Cup. Yeah, that team. Beginning of the year, you thought you were winning it all. Definitely hasn't looked perfect, but the potential is still there, man.
And now you're sitting in a corner with me, crying.
Wells' Bijan train.
I mean, it's just all Arthur Smith's fault. That's
Yeah,
all
it definitely is. I mean, the talent's obviously there. Like, bro's a freak.
Yeah. But moving on to our next fight here, we got Sergey versus Tom Aspinall. Grant is getting this queued up here for us to see exactly how it's going to play out at the next UFC. I'm just personally just going to go with Sergey. Like, I don't understand why he's seen as the dog in this fight.
I know what you mean, Wells.
It doesn't.
I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Sergey in this one. I mean, Tom Aspinall is like a great all-around fighter. You know, he's a better boxer than Sergey straight up. But, you know, it's not boxing, and he gets lit up by a lot of people, and he can eat shots for sure. But like shots from Sergey are different than eating shots from like regular fighters. And you know, I don't know if he's going to be able to take down Pavlovich even. And if he gets hit in the pocket by Sergey and Sergey can avoid the takedowns, I think he has the fight.
True.
Yeah, that's all cool. Give me Aspinall.
What? What makes you say Aspinall?
Aspinall's my guy. He's one of my favorite fighters. He's just a British lad who's out there in his corner. I mean, I think if he didn't have that leg snap in that fight in England, like I guess 2 years ago now or a year and a half ago, I think he would have already had a title fight shot, and I think the outlook on his career would be a lot different. Pavlovich, obviously a skilled striker and a guy you need to worry about, and the power is 100% there. I just feel like Tom Aspinall is probably the more talented guy with more ways to mix up his striking. I mean, we've seen him able to throw kicks, and his submission game is there, and there's just so many ways he can beat you. The only thing I was a little bit worried about with Aspinall was kind of how he would come back after that injury, and if he was a little bit like didn't want to lean on that foot as much and was kind of scared, but he showed up against Marcin Tybura, who's another guy who can easily knock you out. He has crazy power. And he went in there and got a TKO in the first round. So he passed his first test with flying colors, and I know that this fight for the heavyweight belt is probably not what he thought would happen as quickly as it has, but I think he's ready for the opportunity, and I think he takes this one.
Right on.
What's Tom Aspinall's price, Wells?
He's $3.66, so he's a slight bit cheaper on PredictionStrike.
Yeah, so he's the value pick as well. Just feels like there's no way to go wrong here.
I mean, he's looking like he's holding his own.
Have a future on Tom Aspinall to be the heavyweight champ at the end of 2023, but that's besides the point here.
I think your time's becoming very, very short with how quickly that has to turn around.
Yeah, I mean, it's one fight. If he wins this, he's the champ. So.
True. Fair enough. Well, best of luck to you for that. We'll see how it goes. Got a puncher's
chance.
It looks like he's potentially could get the submission here. So that could be pretty huge for you.
Here we go, Tommy.
Go on, Tommy. Get the submission. Why don't you, lad? But yeah, that's Sergey right there. And then we have the main event, but we'll see if Tommy's able to get this. I think LP was able to get it, it looks like. Oh, nope.
Wow. No.
Oh, no.
Saw an escape. We can cut this one at the end of the round, but we've seen a little bit of this stylistic approach from Aspinall. Here we have Pavlovich going for a takedown.
Let's go, Sergey.
Damn. I
Some
mean, I
big
think
shots.
the biggest thing that we're gonna see here is that like Aspinall is gonna take him to the ground.
Yeah, I think he'll do his best. I don't know about you, Jackson, but I think this fight is a super exciting one. I think it's one that could easily have fight of the night potential.
Definitely. I mean, Oh, do you mean Jiri and Pereira or Pavlovich and?
No, I'm still talking about Pavlovich and Aspinall.
Okay, yeah, no, totally, I agree. I don't say my Sergey pick with anywhere like near 100% confidence. Just like what I figured. I think it's going to end up being a really great fight.
But I'll say
I think,
mine with 100% confidence.
You do?
I have no idea. I only know
Sergey.
basketball and football.
I think the John Jones and Stipe fight obviously holds a ton of weight and is something that everyone wants to see, and is the fight to make in this division right now, obviously. But I think that the potential fight between these two that we're going to see this weekend will probably be a lot closer than that fight would be, and we might get a better competition here. So I think there's some positives to take away from the whole mishap that we saw with John Jones and his shoulder, was it, or his pec or something like that?
Yeah, and if you're watching this, Grant and I always put our money where our mouth is, and we'll be picking up shares of the players that we're picking.
Yeah, we'll make a pick on this last fight, and then at the end we'll give you a survivor pool pick that is a guy that we're investing in that we think there's no chance he loses, even though mine lost last week, but we move.
We move forward.
But yeah, let's move into this main fight. We have Jiri Prochazka taking on Alex Pereira.
And yes, we will be starting Adam Thielen against the Bears.
Max, any thoughts to kick this one off?
To kick off Jiri and Pereira.
Yeah.
I mean, Jiri is a pretty crazy guy. Did you guys see that that training stuff he was doing, like locking himself in like a dark room with no food or water or anything?
How does that help you?
I don't know. I mean, he's just been doing some like crazy like Rambo style training, like in the woods of Dagestan and in like basement cellars. He's a pretty crazy guy. Super dangerous, obviously. Most of his wins coming by stoppage. He is one of the most hittable phenoms in UFC, absorbing 6 significant strikes a minute, which is obviously something to consider going against a guy like Pereira. Jerry's you can never count him out of the fight. He has an insane chin and insane tank as well. Like he comes back from fights that he should be losing. I have a really hard time picking this one. And I've leaned both ways when thinking about it, but I think it's going to go to Pereira. Just because, he is so hittable and Pereira has one of the deadliest left hooks in the world. I think he's going to be able to get in there and light him up. Jiri is the better overall fighter. Alex is a nasty striker. I'm going Pereira on this one. What do you guys think?
Well, we got TB2BH, I really don't care, in the chat saying, in my opinion, Alex's chin is suspect. So shots fired.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he got chin checked for sure in his last fight. He's not indestructible at all. But
the thing to me is he looked good against Blachowicz in his first fight in the light heavyweight division.
Yeah, before that.
Yeah, but in his last fight he looked good, but it didn't really seem like that power totally translated up a division. I mean, he hit Jan with some shots, but it didn't look as dominant as he did in the middleweight division, where if he connected with one of those blows, you were going down and the fight was over. So it just leaves a little bit to be desired there. I will lean with you, though. I just think that Jiri leaves himself open too often to get clipped by something, and I think we see a fight where Jiri is dominating and he's up 3-0 through 3 rounds, and then in the fourth we see Pereira come out and clip him with something. We see Jiri get wobbled. He's kind of on his back foot, and then we see a finish. So I would take Pereira by finish, but I would not be shocked at all if Jiri outlasts him and looks dominant in this fight for the majority.
Oh, Alex almost just got a flying knee in. That was close.
Right on. Well, I think that's really all there is to this UFC kind of podcast, as we're playing around with this and kind of seeing where we go with everything. But for those of you who
I think we could each give our must-win.
Must-win?
Yeah, let's do our must-win this week. Wells, if you want to start us off. It might be Pavlovich, but...
Nah, I do like Pavlovich. I do like him a lot, but I'm going to stick with my Benoit Saint Denis guy. I'm going to keep riding this train. One of my favorite players or fighters to invest in. Just a big fan of whatever military that he's in. As you can tell, massive fan off of that.
French.
Right
big
there.
French military guy.
But, yeah, I think that's... I don't know. Apparently, it's their version of the French, like, Navy SEALs, and it's very difficult. So I look at that from a mental standpoint. And
yeah, I would have taken Saint Denis as well. I think he's a great fighter. I think he is an unbelievable chance to win this one. I think he's a huge favorite in this one for a good reason. But I will take Mackenzie Dern just of being different. I think that Andrade has just lost 3 fights in a row. The momentum is fully in Dern's camp, and there's more potential for her to kind of mount a title push, so I'll lean Dern there.
Big Mac.
Yep.
Well, I was going to personally do Mackenzie Dern as well, but I'm going to throw in a different one just for content's sake. I am going to go back to the prelims here, I think, and shout out Joshua Van. I personally think this is going to be a great fight for him. He's, as I said, like you heard me before, but he's a better overall fighter, a true mixed martial artist. And he's going to be able to get some takedowns and should be a little bit everywhere.
And he's pretty damn cheap to buy into. 50 cents a share. Not too bad.
How old is Van?
He's 20...
22, wow.
Yeah, 20, and his opponent's 25, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, 22, only his second fight in the UFC. There's a ton of hype here. I mean, he could lose 2 fights now and then later in his career in 5 years string together some wins, and you could see that price triple. Like, I don't see any way, unless he gets cut by the UFC, that price gets lower than where it is now. So that to me feels like an auto invest.
Exactly. And, you know, like when it comes to fighters around that age group, it's like you worry about kind of their decision making during the fighting still, and whether they're going to go out and gas themselves because they've only had a few major pro events. But you know, he's fighting a 25-year-old. I don't think the veteran presence is exactly going to be there on the other side. Like, I think Kevin Borjas is kind of still coming into his own as well. So I still got Van here, the young blood.
100%. I'm with you there. I think that's a great pick and a great investment as well.
For sure.
Right on. Well, I think that's all we have for you guys. Sutton or London to start this week. I haven't looked at the matchups, to be honest.
Give me Cortland. He'll find his way in the end zone somehow.
Find his way in the end zone.
I'm liking Cortland against the Bills as well.
Interesting. And then the other option.
JSN.
That was JSN or
I like
Watson.
JSN this week. We have JSN against the Commanders, correct?
I'm not sure. But if so, I do.
I believe it's the Commanders. Well. Yeah, it's against the Commanders. Commanders' secondary has been suspect all year. I love JSN's matchup.
Yeah. Ramondre was even able to get home on the ground, which was entertaining. I do like London against the Cardinals, but
we've seen AJ Brown and Devontae Smith have huge weeks there, and this feels like another receiver room that rivals that a little bit in terms of just depth. So I think multiple guys can eat this week against that secondary. Basically, whoever Emmanuel Forbes is guarding on particular play, you can take the opposite, and you'll do very well.
You'll have yourself a solid day. But sure. Looks like we're gonna get Jerry in an arm bar here.
Yeah, this is not how I expected this going, but
Yeah, appreciate all the likes, give some follows, guys, and we will see
Oh my God,
you all
we
next
have a
time.
No.
Alex Pereira
Alex Pereira
sub
submission.
via armbar.
But yeah, on that note, peace, y'all.